Welcome back to the CNR recap. I'm Griffin Aldrich. Alongside me, we got Daniel, Miguel, and Carl McDonald. And your Boston Celtics didn't just beat the Clippers. It was a Beantown beatdown tonight. And I love using that phrase because it completely describes what the Boston Celtics did to the Clippers tonight. I mean, it was a three parade, like from three. Like you just kept seeing three after three after three. And that embodies what the Celtics are. And I'm going too deep into it, but I want to give a quick thing is like that embodies what they are. When they're shooting that well, no team in the NBA is stopping this Boston Celtics team. And even this version of the Boston Celtics, like I'm saying this version because, again, complete different outlook on the team. You have no Porzingis, you have no Tatum right now, you have no Holiday, no Horford. I mean, this team, they're showing you when they can shoot and they're hot, no team is still stopping this team in the NBA. But you guys know the drill. Let's go initial thoughts. We'll go Daniel to Carl and back to myself. Daniel, what are your initial thoughts after this huge win by the Boston Celtics?
Yeah, coming up to this one, like Kawhi was always going to be like a threat because like he's been on a streak for like the past 4 games of five of like what 30, 40 points or something like that. So like he was the main guy we were looking for, and honestly, I thought it was going to be a close game because of that. Like I thought, oh, Kawhi's been going off recently. It means we're either going to lose or it's going to be a close one. But the way we just held him and everybody else down, like defensively, and then to transition that amazing defensive work to our offense and how well we played offensively, I think that was a great game from us both offensively and defensively. Um, so yeah, really good game from Brown and White and some of the other guys. Uh, Pritchard was really like that's a really bad up until the fourth quarter, but we didn't need him to perform good tonight. Held Kawhi to 20 points, so really good game.
Yeah, Carl, what are your thoughts?
I would say this is one of the best games that we've had this season. Just absolutely incredible. Absolutely just beautiful. Like we go from, obviously talking about the circumstances we've been dealt with, going into the season. Also, we previously had talked about how we were on this road trip of these 4 games playing against the Portland Trailblazers, the Utah Jazz, the Sacramento Kings, and now tonight the Clippers. And to pick up this win, and I would probably say arguably the biggest win for us this season, is really cool. And it really shows, it really shows how resilient and how, great we are in that aspect of figuring out the issues that we need to clean up at that moment and just going about making those changes and becoming the best versions of ourselves. We again rebounded very well. When it came to that loss against Portland, took that momentum, for with us, into that game, into Utah, and then furthered ourselves more into those games. So yeah, to start off with a loss this tour, and then to really show that hey, we're still going at it and figuring out ways to win it. And winning big in this way is just great. And again, shows that the Celtics this season are more resilient than ever before.
Yeah, well said, Carl and Daniel. I have to say this night to prove something to me. It proves that it doesn't matter who's starting out there at the four position too. Like, you saw a change up with Hauser tonight and he did fine. He had a solid game starting. I mean, he started off doing a little something, but still not the best game. I mean, I think Walsh really responded to coming off the bench with a double double. I mean, 13 points and 13 rebounds, and we'll get into that more when we talk about player stats. But I mean, overall, like you saw one guy really dominate in this game, and I'm gonna start it off like Jalen Brown. I mean, and we're gonna dive into him later because trust me, there's a lot to talk about Jalen Brown tonight. But my first takeaway from him is he's responding after being snubbed a Player of the Month, and I get it. Like I get why he's upset. Like I saw the stats right before this too, and he clearly proved that he was the better player over Jalen Brunson. I mean, only beat him in the assist category, and the really main takeaway from it was winning the in-season tournament because the success rate with the Boston Celtics has been better too. But I don't know. Do you guys think this was a big respawn game? And you guys could just answer right away with this one because he even went on his Twitter and said, "Shake my head" from it. So was this just a respawn game in order to that, or do you think this is just that Jalen Brown, he didn't play with a chip on his shoulder? He just went out there and played his game. What do you think, though, Daniel and Carl?
Yeah, definitely. Coming up to this game, you always knew that after being snubbed, he had to put up a big performance. And I think he's one of the biggest players in the league when it comes to shutting up like his haters or shutting up like or just showing like how frustrated he is at some points, which is good for us. I saw a comment on like the post that showed like the stats from comparing Jalen Brown and uh Brunson, and one of the guys said like, yeah, it sucks that he lost or that he got snubbed, but this is just gonna push him to do better. And that's exactly what he did tonight. Became the fourth player to score 50 points at the Intuit Dome, fourth player ever to do that, and also tied his career high in the same game. And I think that's a fantastic way to snap back at Brunson, at the league, at whoever it was that voted Brunson as the player of the month. He also talks about it in his stream. I can't remember what he said, but he went on about it on his stream. That last night, I'm pretty sure is when he had the stream. Yeah, so really good way to clap back at everybody who believes that Brunson rightfully won that Player of the Month award.
Yeah, what are your thoughts, Carl?
This was 100% a statement from Jalen Brown. And I would even say the Boston Celtics too, because this guy had 39 points going into the fourth quarter, and he's, yeah, pretty much for the most part been, putting up 30-point games. And a lot of those points, most of those points coming in the first half or the first three quarters. And to see not only him, dropping his 50, but his team literally helping him to get to 50. He was at 49 or 48, and they're giving him the ball so that he can just do that and then subbing him off. It was clearly a statement there, and a statement that needed to happen, that needed to be said, that needed to be loud. Because, yeah, literally, you have this guy here who is leading a team that's not supposed to be in this position to the second or third seed. They're actually close to becoming a second seeded team if, they can win another game and the Knicks, fumble a few games or so. So, yeah, clearly a statement there. And it just goes to show that, yeah, I agree with Daniel. He definitely is one of the best players in NBA history to just shut up his critics. Again, we saw it from 2023 to 2024. You go from I let my city down in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals in 2023 to now finishing the 2024 playoff season with the Finals MVP award. You lose the guy you're, leading the Celtics with in 2025, that playoff run. And now going into this 2026 season, you're averaging nearly 30 points. And in one of those games, you just put belt to, backside to the Clippers. So I'm going to try to keep it PG. But yeah, that's the type of player Jalen Brown has always been. And it should get you even more excited to see this team moving forward, because not only is he displaying this type of energy, but he really has an effect on this team, as they're not only helping him to, really get even more comfortable into that leadership role, but, they're also, becoming their own individual players and even better with him as a leader.
Well said right there, Carl. Well said, you guys. I'm telling you, I want to respond to this comment really quick. This is my thing. I think Tatum was sick out there. I saw him on the bench. He looked so excited for Brown, but I think he was also like sick because he's like, I should be out there scoring 50 pieces with Jalen Brown. Like, just imagine this duo. Obviously, we talked about even in the last podcast. Go check that out after this, the New Year special. Well, you guys probably get some sleep after this, but go watch it in the morning. But the New Year's special where we dug into it, and it's like, with Jason Tatum coming back, it's like, obviously, and I think you're the one who mentioned this, Carl. It's going to take a lot of time for him to build up to the original form that he was in prior to the Achilles injury. However, like once he's back to at least a different form of Tatum that is at playing at superstar level, the complementary piece of both of them, current Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum, is going to be scary. And there's going to be no scarier duo in the NBA. And that's just giving me chills saying that because it's the truth. It's the truth. The Jalen Brown we have right now is the best Jalen Brown that he's been his entire career. And that's no doubt, no doubt. Do you guys have anything else to say alongside of that, though, before we get into quarters?
No, I feel like everything has been said definitely, and at least half of the praise to Jalen Brown has been given. Deserves more though.
I know we could. I tell you what, if it wasn't 118 here,
Yeah,
we'd probably dig in all night on Jalen Brown because of the performance he had. But I'm sure we will be definitely talking about Jalen Brown more in this recap, though. But here, I'm gonna throw this up for Daniel. And Daniel, if you wanted to go away with quarters, because again, Celtics dominated from the first point in this game. So if you wanted to give it to us.
yeah. Starting off, we had a really good first quarter. As you can see, that lead at the end of the first quarter, 42 points scored, which is a really high amount if you ask me. Compared to the Clippers 28. Um, and then as you can see by the differential, like like Griffin said, we were on the get go. We kept our foot on the gas the whole game. We actually ended up losing that second quarter, 35 points to 29, going for the Clippers. But it didn't matter because we had a sizable lead at that point, which just continued to grow in the third quarter. Us matching our first quarter score with 42 again, compared to the Clippers 36. And then in the fourth quarter, you see that highest peak in the differential. That's when the team and Jalen Brown as well just exploded, with 33 points in that fourth quarter. And the Clippers, we held down the Clippers to 16, their lowest scoring of the quarter. Our biggest lead of the game was 33 points in that fourth quarter, which is why you see such a high differential. And the Clippers never led in the game, which I think um really says a lot about our defensive work and how well we've done defensively this season and this game specifically.
Yeah, well said, Daniel. And I want to give some credit to the Celtics as well. Only 6 turnovers opposed to 9 for the Clippers. Again, not a lot of turnovers in this game. It was back and forth, but the most biggest thing, well, second biggest thing to me was rebounds. I mean, 46 rebounds from the Celtics, 30 from the Clippers. That's huge, and that's going to win you games. But from the field goal, I mean, the Clippers tonight, 42 for 84, but for the Boston Celtics tonight, 53 for 96. So shooting wise, incredible. Like shot the lights out. And that's what my next question is going to lead me to for you guys before we get into player stats is, you saw the green going all the way. It kind of dipped a little in that third quarter at times. It looked like the Clippers just like were they were never in this game. I'm gonna throw it back up. I mean, it's green all the way. Like they were not in this game. But what caused the Celtics to be so dominant throughout this game? And before you guys go to, I just want to say I think it's their three shooting. And I mentioned it from the beginning of this, when they're hot and they're shooting to what are Brad Stevens, what Joe Mazzulla's expectations are, no one could stop this team. But Daniel and Carl, if you wanted to chime in on that too, what caused them to take complete command throughout the game?
Yeah, like I said, I think the first thing for me that stood out was, at least like Griffin said, 3 pointers. We shot almost 50% from three this season. Sorry, this game. I think we were 24 out of 50 or 51 shots taken
Yeah,
from
20
three.
24 out of 51. Yep.
Yeah, that's really good for us. That's almost 50%. And I think not only Jalen Brown like picked it up, but I think Jalen Brown's performance pushed the other guys to perform good as well. You see Simons hitting like threes, 15 points, five threes in the game. He like there was a time where like him and Brown just going back to back from like threes. And I think that goes to show how a leader can influence other players to perform better as well. So I think Jalen Brown's performance picked these guys up and let them know, hey, we can do that too, and or we should be doing that too. So I think threes is first of all, and then second of all, defense. I've been saying it the whole like, podcast, but we played really well defensively this game, and I think that's what helped the offense then do their job when the transition. So I think threes and defense.
Yeah, well said, Daniel. What about you though, Carl?
Yeah, I pretty much have to agree with both of you. I'd say, the main thing or two main things that powered the Celtics were the three pointers and that mentality aspect as well. Anthony Simons, somebody that we don't see on the team for too long, was very productive tonight. All of his points came from those threes. Um, and I feel like he was probably arguably the second or third best player on the team outside of looking at the numbers. Obviously, Derek White at number two for tonight's game, but he was incredible and he was great and one of the best aspects of that 3 point game that we were dealing with and that mentality. And it kind of goes into my second point, the mentality aspect, where yeah, pretty much it was just the competition on who can rain in more threes. So Collins was shooting a three, Derek White was shooting a three, and then you had Chris Dunn shooting a three, Anthony Simons shooting a three. So clearly there was some competition there, and even though the Celtics had the lead for the entire game, the Clippers were coming back, and I feel like the Celtics were just too stubborn enough to, not let that lead go because it's easy for them to lose a lead, especially against a team that has been winning a lot recently, and especially with having Kawhi Leonard on that floor. Something that I also, like to point out, especially on my TikToks, is that when he's on that court, he's top five. So thankfully, they put their heads down, they locked in, and they realized, like, hey, they're going up against, essentially this monster. You're going to have to go after the head, and neutralizing him in the best way that they could, putting themselves into that mentality really helped them out tonight.
Well said, you guys. Well said. I tell you what, you guys with the takes tonight, phenomenal, but I want to go over to the Clippers side of it because Clippers played some good basketball. And I mean, when you score 115 points in a game, that's enough to give you the win a lot of nights, but the Celtics had a phenomenal game. So John Collins tonight, I mean, played 29 minutes, had 22 points, shot 90% from the field goal. James Harden, kind of a rough night from him. All of these guys are in the negatives and plus minus. James Harden was negative 24 tonight, but in 34 minutes had 18 points with 12 assists. So double double. Derek Jones Jr. 19 points. And again, you guys talked about it, like, and you guys and Carl just mentioned it, but Daniel, you even mentioned it early how Kawhi Leonard has been hot as of recently. But tonight you really you Carl and Daniel, you guys already mentioned it, so I don't want to steal your take on this one. But again, kept him to 22 points. And like we talked about this the other night on the recap. I think it was Daniel and I, right? Yeah, we were talking about it, and Kawhi Leonard was up to like 45. And we were like, this is a guy to watch out for. And I was honestly getting scared, but you kept him to such a little amount. And Chris Dunn really was the next guy with 10 points and Batum with six. So not a lot of names. Zubac played tonight, had 4 points. So not a lot from the Clippers side of basketball, but let's head. Do you guys have anything to mention on the Clippers side, or you guys want to head over to the Celtics? Yeah, let's head over to the Celtics stats though. Baylor Shireman kind of played in garbage time. 3 minutes, no other stats. Ugo tonight, still a positive 9 in plus minus. So good job from Ugo, but 10 minutes, no other stats. Minot only played 3 minutes, a rebound and a steal. Hauser, again, we mentioned him earlier in this, got the start tonight, had 8 points, shot 33.3% from the field goal tonight, and, 3 rebounds, a block. You know, I don't know where I'm at on Hauser. Like, I feel like some nights he's going to give you a good night, and then like you want this production off the bench, but who knows where we go with that. Kada had 8 points and 9 rebounds tonight with a block and an assist. Luca Garza, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. Like I know we're giving the role to Kada, but I really wouldn't be shocked knowing how much Missoula switch up lineups. I wouldn't be shocked if you put Luca Garza there in at the center position. Like, but I think he kind of has his guy with Kada. But again, Garza tonight was very efficient with 11 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal and a block. And this is a night, if we didn't see such efficient players, I wouldn't mind tossing him a CNR MVP because I thought, there were a lot of plays that he expressed his emotions and his emotions were felt. But again, Peyton Pritchard played 40 minutes tonight, 12 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, a steal, and shot 50%. Again, his presence wasn't known at all times in the game. He would hit a great three, but I feel like he was kind of more so in at, like towards the end, shooting some more. So, but like he did fine tonight, but not the guys you want to highlight. But now we're kind of creeping up into the CNR MVP watch because these are the guys I really want to highlight. And first, that being Jordan Walsh, who played 30 minutes tonight, had a double double with 13 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, and shot 71.4%. I was starting to give up on Walsh a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I started doubting him a lot more. But, we were at the point where Missoula was playing him and starting him, and now it's at the point where, like if Walsh didn't perform tonight, you might kiss your minutes goodbye. But he lived up to the expectation because you see that. I mean, Minot, he went off from starting, was a good piece off the bench, didn't perform, and tonight only had 3 minutes. We could totally see Walsh slip with that, but he responded. Do you guys have anything else to say with Walsh, though? Because I think tonight was a big respond night for the case with Joe Mazzulla. You guys have anything on that, though? Okay.
Oh no, I think you said everything. I think everything that needed to be said about him. I think he came into this game with a really good like intensity and like Carl said, a good mentality. I think he had it the whole game. Or at least for the minutes he played. Obviously you're not going to see much like scoring from him, but he's. I think one of the announcers said it. He's one of those like statless, I think is what the word he used, like statless or like something like that. But what he was trying to say is that he's one of those guys who like you don't look at his stats to show how good he is. And the announcer mentioned Marcus Smart as well in that regard, and it just reminds me of him so well because those are two guys where like stats aren't going to tell you the whole story of how they did during the game, and I think that says a lot about Jordan Walsh and the player he is and the role he has on the Celtics.
Yeah, and Carl, before you go in on Walsh too, I gotta say this really quick. Yeah, there was one play where, he shot the ball, I think, or went up for a layup and really hustled and got the offensive rebound and, pulled the ball out, brought it to the wing, ended up stepping out of bounds. And I might have mixed up the play a little bit, but the fact is there were several plays in this where he was hustle, aggressiveness, and that's what you want to see. And that's what Daniel just mentioned, like the defensive aggressiveness, go for a rebound. I love to see that. But what are your thoughts, Carl?
You pretty much guys have just hit the head on the nail. Pretty much, yeah. Jordan Walsh has just been incredible in this game, and of course prior games too. And definitely, if he didn't play, then it would have not been good for him in the future. But I feel like not only was this a somewhat of a rebound game for him, so for him to come back and show again why he's valuable to this team and value and pretty much deserving of being a starter as well. But also, when Jason Tatum does eventually come back, this is a guy who should be a key rotation, to the team. He's showing that with the production on the rebounding and the points, but mainly the hustle. And that is what they need right now, especially out of their younger players. So definitely Jordan Walsh showed, exactly what he's going to be doing for us in the future. And I would hope that he continues this momentum and the hustle and mentality that he currently has.
You guys make me so high on Jordan Walsh. Like, you guys give me all the confidence I need from him because that's one of my main guys. And I know I'm going off topic really quick, and I'm gonna get right on topic with the CNR MVPs, but I gotta shout out my guy Amari Williams really quick. And I know he has nothing to do tonight with the Boston Celtics, but tonight in Maine, I mean, this might be a big man answer too. We got just, and again, I'm going off topic, but 33 points, 16 rebounds, and shot 68% from the field goal tonight. Just saying, we might have our mini Nikola Jokic coming up.
Hey, Griffin, you also see that Ron Harper performance a couple nights ago with the
I
Maine
know.
Celtics as well?
What was it? Didn't he have like almost 40? Or did he
Yeah,
have
he
40?
had 30 something as well. I'm
Yeah.
pretty
See,
sure.
our boys in Maine, you guys gotta keep them. Go check out the Maine report. So gotta watch out for them, I gotta say. But going back to that, you guys already mentioned him. Anthony Simons, who played 19 minutes tonight, had 15 points and was blazing hot from three. I mean, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and shot 62.5% from the field goal. And this is going to be a hot take, but if Jaylen Brown did not have the night he had tonight, I think Anthony Simons wins Celtics Nation Rise MVP if we got to win because I think, tonight, like, you know, the shots, he only shot 8 shots and he was 5 from 8. I feel like, if he shot more, he would have knocked down a lot more shots. But the thing is, you're passing the rock to Jaylen Brown. I mean, he's hot. He's the number one guy tonight. So shout out to Anthony Simons. I feel like on another night, and I mentioned it last one, I was like, watch out for Simons. Watch out for Simons. I'm still rooting for him. I want him to get his first CNR MVP, but we're down to 2 more people, and I know I'm going on with this, but Derek White played 37 minutes, had 29 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, and shot 50%. And again, if it wasn't such a productive night from Jaylen Brown tonight, I think we know our answer on who we're going with for CNR MVP, but Derek White, can't discredit him, had a phenomenal night tonight. Him and Jaylen Brown made up for most of the scoring tonight for the Celtics. But ultimately, and then let's go through and kind of give our little analysis. But Jaylen Brown tonight, 35 minutes, 50 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 69.2% from the field goal. I'm going to go first, and then let's go all Daniel and Carl. I'm going Jaylen Brown, your CNR MVP. I mean, he was so efficient tonight, and we discussed it earlier. There was no stopping Jaylen Brown. He played with a chip on his shoulder tonight, and he was ready to go out there and give it his all, and he did, and he single-handedly beat the Clippers with some great help from the rest of the team. But great night from Jaylen Brown. But Daniel, who are you going for your CNR MVP?
Has to be the guy with 50 points, 70% from the field, 5 assists. Um, I'm glad he got that. He got that like hair, he got his hair fixed. And it looks better now than with all those enhancements on it. I'm glad they got rid of him. May or may not have made him a better player. I don't know though. But yeah, it has to be Jaylen Brown.
Oh, Carl, what about you?
No, easily, unanimously, former Finals MVP, the Mad Max himself, Jaylen Brown. We said what we said out there. He played with a chip on his shoulder, as you said, Griffin, and he was just absolutely incredible. Nothing more you got to say about this, but this is a guy who is doing exactly what he was meant to do, even though people did not see him doing what he was meant to do.
Well said. Well said. And you guys, I have the graphic tonight because I think we knew coming into this one it was going to be JB. But for the 9th time this season already, 9th time, and we're not even at All-Star break. Like, what? Jaylen Brown is your CNR MVP. We've been snubbing him a lot. I'm not going to lie. Like, Jaylen Brown, we are not your haters. We love you here at CNR. Like, we love you here. But, we got to give some CNR MVPs to other people as well. But tonight is a night where you have to give it to Jaylen Brown, and he deserves it. And we're not going to keep snubbing you, Jaylen Brown, because I don't know if you see us out here, but you might be playing on a chip on your shoulder because we've been snubbing you a little bit recently. But we all love, we love Jaylen Brown here. But do you guys have any final thoughts before we close it out? Again, huge win, 146 to 115. Boston Celtics get the dub. Daniel, you want to start off? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, two things. Griffin, you mentioned the first one earlier. 6 turnovers is really good for us in this game. We're a team that averages about 11. Still the lowest amount of turnovers in the league, like in terms of averages, but having half of that tonight is really good for us. It means we were taking care of the ball well, right passes at the right time, and I think that's really good for us. A really good step in the right direction. Um, and then the second thing I wanted to mention is again something hard from the announcers. I think these announcers be kicking sometimes, so I'm always like listening to like what they're saying, especially at the end of the game. What I heard, I didn't even know this until then, but we started the season 5-7. We're 5-7 at some point in at the start of the season, and we are 17-5 since that moment. 17 wins, 5 losses since our 5-7 start. So I think we're gunning for that first spot. Pistons, you better watch out because we're almost there. And also, the Clippers play the Knicks next. I'm pretty sure after us. So hopefully, if they do the reverse of what we just did to them, we can climb onto that second spot pretty easily with our next win.
Well said, Daniel. What about you, though, Carl?
Yeah, there's nowhere else for us to go except up. We got to continue this momentum. We got to take this game as a great example of that. Our all of our losses, all of our wins into the next game to really, further ourselves as the team as we want to be. Yeah. What is it? We have like a half game before we win the second seed. If the Knicks do get thrown by the Clippers as well, that would be incredible. And then to go
Yeah, it really would.
Oh my gosh. I would love that, especially again, what we had to deal with for the past, I don't even know how many months now, 7 months, 8 months. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm just
definitely.
Actually, I think it's Knicks and Pistons on
Oh,
Monday,
Knicks Pistons next.
but that's still like if Pistons beat
Oh,
them,
Pistons could definitely do it, but
oh,
that's kind of a situation where I don't want any of the teams winning.
you really don't. But you guys, I gotta tell you what though, I am so excited for the 7:30 start on Monday. I tell you guys what, we play against the Bulls. And thank you guys so much for tuning in late nights with us. I appreciate you guys. You guys are just as much troopers as we are here because you guys watch the whole game and then you're going to come listen to a 33-minute recap. So we appreciate you here at CNR. And I appreciate you guys. And make sure to tune in on Monday for the CNR recap against the Bulls. And again, the Celtics beat the Clippers with a final score of 115 to 146. With that being said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and turn on post notifications. We will see you guys with the next one. Peace, guys.
Peace.
take care, guys.